Well, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. Good morning, good morning. Welcome. There we go. Good morning, Amanda. And I think I want to start today's episode outside of playing the intro song. So, most of the time when you watch a podcast, the first like 5, 10 minutes of that bitch is them sitting behind a graphic twiddling their fucking thumbs, playing some dumbass song they didn't write. So we do a little different around here. We have decided, it has been decided, that the opening song for the show is Edwin Starr's War. Um, I was in the Marine Corps Infantry. I've done a little bit of running by cadence. And if you served, know someone that served, have ever run by cadence, you've certainly heard this song. Little bit of war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. And then I just heard the most powerful sentence that I've heard thus far, and that is there are more pictures of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein than there are trans athletes in the NCAA. What is it good? Mm-hmm. I don't know if y'all caught that. There are more pictures of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein together than there are trans athletes in the NCAA. And up until yesterday, I thought that there was just a minute of video missing. Okay? I just want to point this out. Up until yesterday, I thought there was 1 minute missing from the video. And I'm one of those people where I think about, okay, there's minute of video missing. That means you have 1 minute to get in there, subdue him, hang him, and get out. Right? Isn't that how they found him? So, up until yesterday, I only thought there was a minute of missing film, and I was like, it's pretty tough gig to get into that cell, subdue that person, hang him, leave him, then start the camera back up, all within a minute. That's a tough ask. Okay, hold on, Gabby. So, up until yesterday, I only thought it was like a minute, and in my head, I'm like, he probably killed himself. You know what I mean? Like he probably did it. He probably did it himself. He was in prison. You know what I mean? Clearly, like Trump's not going to help you, right? In fact, I want to continue to point out Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were best friends for the better part of 2 decades. And look at how Donald Trump treats his friends. By the way, look at how he was talking about this nobody. Why are we still talking about this nobody? And yesterday I found out that there's more than 3 minutes missing from the combined security footage videos. And now my mind's free to wonder. You can do a lot in 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. especially if there's more than one person, especially if you don't have to worry about how much noise you make. Cameras aren't recording noise. At least I'm guessing. I haven't seen, and none of the footage that I've seen contained noise. So yeah, yeah, a couple people, they could have made it happen in a few minutes. But no, 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 no. It removed all doubt. So any doubt, any doubt that I had that Donald Trump had Epstein done in was completely removed because Donald Trump is all the way full circle on this on the Epstein list. So in February, in my eyes, anything that comes out of like Pam Bondi's mouth, it came out of Donald Trump's mouth first. It's how she gets her barking orders. Okay, so in February, Pam said she had that list on her desk, and that she's gonna let it go. She's gonna publish that list unredacted. Okay, in the last 2 weeks, Donald Trump himself has said it didn't exist. It was completely fabricated. And then he said it exists, but all of the relevant Democrats of the last 30 years corroborated to write it. So obviously it's not real, right? And then I want to continue to point out that it went, shit's not real. It was written by Democrats. Uh, then the Democrats try to force a vote on it where they're going to release the Epstein files, right? So they literally voted. So Donald Trump saying the shit doesn't exist, that Democrats fucking fabricated and wrote it. They fucking voted on it and couldn't make it happen. I want to continue to point out that two Democrats in a 211-210 vote, two Democrats did not vote that would have swung that vote. So you could blame, who's this? Okay. Yeah. And then again, Donald Trump last night was saying Democrats made it up. And so we've come full circle. That's how I know you lied, right? Is you started out by saying Democrats, you said it didn't exist. Like, then you said Democrats wrote it. Then they've tried to force a vote to reveal it. Every Republican voted against it. Pushing orange went upstairs leading to a cell. Nonsensical to claim those people whose names supposedly on the list wrote the list. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Donald Trump has said, and lots of people have said, like, well, the Democrats didn't want it released either because they're on it. And it's like, it looks like every Democrat voted to publish the Epstein list. It was two people just weren't there. An 84-year-old and a 42-year-old. That's all I saw. I believe they were both female. They did not vote at all. So understand, if they wanted to, and this is for the record, I think it's going to get published. I absolutely think it's all gonna come out of the wash. Oh, there are people that are openly, like saying, Jeffrey Epstein's not dead. Like that isn't some batshit crazy shit. I'm not saying I'm on that tip. I'm just pointing it out. Like there are people now that are like, Jeffrey Epstein's on an island somewhere. Gabby. Yeah, yeah. He's saying Democrats made the list. and are also on the list, and they don't want it released either. Really? How come it was 211, 210, and two Democrats didn't vote? And if they did, it's 212, 211, and it passes. Hey, wake up. That was a warning shot. That's what really happened. It was like Donald Trump got the warning. There was this one. It was a one. It's technically 1-0. That's how I look at it. 211 to 210. It was 1-0. Two of our players didn't show up. Let's revote that shit and get everybody in here and let's vote on this shit. Now, there's like 9 Republicans that didn't vote too. If Democrats are on the list, why would they vote to publish it? Let me guess. Because even though the Republicans control the House, the Senate, the presidency, and have a friendly Supreme Court, even though all those things are true, went after the women with kids that would do anything to protect them. Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, I think they can because the first vote was in committee and the second vote was the floor. It failed 5-7 and then 211 to 210. Why didn't the Dems voters show up? Two of them didn't. More Republicans didn't vote. 9 Republicans did not vote. Two Democrats did not vote. Yeah, an 84-year old and a 42-year old. So I want to point out, if the Dems wanted to have won that shit, they should have won that shit. I think it was a warning shot to Donald Trump. Here's what I think. I think I don't know if it's in Project 2025, but I'm willing to bet this is Donald Trump is saying, "Hey, use the 25th Amendment. I don't want this shit to come out. I want have it come out when I'm dead, right? Like after I go. Like, is this worth stepping down over protecting? Okay, so I think they're prepping JD Vance to be president. Watch. And I think this shit all falls apart when Donald Trump steps out of the way, when he's not president anymore. And remember this. Remember the New York judge talking about when Donald Trump's no longer president, and you're just like, you mean in 4 years? Why didn't they just say in 4 years? Anyway, you'll have to go back and watch it. Yeah, we're saying two Democrats didn't vote. An 84-year-old and a 42-year-old. That's all I know. I think they were both women, but I'm not willing to stake my rep on it. And but 9 Republicans didn't vote in that 211, 210 vote to not release the Epstein files. The story is two Democrats didn't vote. Otherwise, it's 212, 211, forcing some of these other Republicans to put their name out there, right? In my eyes, that's a warning shot to Donald Trump. And now I think Donald Trump is going to go resign, try to protect his image because, and again, the fuck do I know? He's going to resign to protect his image. I already think he's done enough. And I'm telling you, he resigns because he doesn't want that shit to come out. He doesn't want the Jack Smith Volume 2 to come out. He doesn't want the Epstein files to come out. I think it's happening anyway. I think Democrats are waking the fuck up. I fucking hope so. I hope enough people. Yeah, yeah. Stacy said they're tearing his ass apart on True Social. I hope so. I hope so. Hold me accountable when I lie. You know what I mean? If you're a leader of people, you just have to straight up be like apologetic. You just have to know that you're stepping on toes, right? At the very least. Oh, on the list. Dude, Trump probably hosted the parties, bro. How many? It's like they hosted parties and for each other. Crush says she don't think Trump's resigning. He's too much of a narcissist. I get it, birthday buddy, but I think you got to remember when I think about politics, and I think about how much of a game it is, and how much of a show it is to Donald Trump. He thinks it's a fucking show. Dumb question. Why does that go with Congress to be released? I guess you could probably expect to trust the list released by Congress, whereas if it's just released, that's part of what the damage control that Donald Trump's trying to do is trying to locate this list so we can clean it up. Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's what in my brain I'm like, Democrats got to slow down on pressuring this administration on these Epstein files because if I'm Donald Trump, I negotiate and resign. And I say, you know what? I don't want those Epstein files to come out while I'm president of the United States. I want to take my ball and go home now. You can do whatever the fuck you want after I'm gone. I negotiate. I tell all. I get off scot free one more time. Unalives though, like he's at the end of his shit, and then we just gotta suffer his fucking kids. You know what I'm saying? Because they're rich fucks too. Yeah, but what we're not thinking about, we're thinking too much about him being a narcissist and not enough about him being in poor health. So I get what you're saying is built-in hatred for this person. And so you're just like he would never give up power. He's a narcissist. And I'm saying like he's in poor health. Look how hard they're working to protect him right now. I think the 211 210 vote was a warning shot and that the Democrats should be careful. Because if I'm Donald Trump, I look at this situation and say, man, they're pushing too hard. I think I'm just going to negotiate for my freedom, resign, keep that list from hitting the air until I'm dead and gone and let everybody else deal with the shit. Because that's the way he would really do people. Yep. Mm-hmm. Is absolutely take himself out of the equation. Mm-hmm. Being like, and you all did this shit. You wrote the shit. Russ Vought and JD Vance, fucking Peter Thiel funded it. The Heritage Foundation is responsible. I think he would absolutely sell out everyone he knows to maintain his fucking innocence. And I think too many of y'all have given Donald Trump too much fucking credit. I've told you every fucking day that man does not deserve to be here. Like, he is not doing enough of the right things to be here. And I think that one of the things that he'll do is, I mean, they have to know he's on the list. They've already released the page of the list that has Donald Trump's name on it. That I've already seen that multiple times where it's like, oh, here's the tease. Oh, look, there's Donald J. Trump. Sure as fucking shit. So I know that's already public. But what I'm saying is, y'all have given him too much credit, and you're like he's executing the game plan, and it's like he's not. Actually, he's done nothing but fail. They passed 6 pieces of fucking legislation. What are we talking about? He's one of the least effective presidents ever. You cannot rule by fiat. Federal judges are out against him all the time. 2/3 of the people defending him that work for the Department of Justice quit in like the last week. He's winning what? What is he winning? He won when federal judges decided that we're going to stop nationwide injunctions? Is that a win? I don't that doesn't scream win to me. That screams desperation. Know that in my eyes Donald Trump did the most damage when he cut the funding to USAID. He just basically Donald Trump is directly responsible for the starvation of children. Intentional. Marco Rubio was happy about destroying the United States funding of USAID. He ain't winning. That's not winning. That's what's fucking crazy to me. Is there's just a lot of people out there that are like, "Oh yeah, he's getting everything he wanted." What? Do you know why he's doing it? He's being extorted. He hasn't passed legislation. He's only, yeah, losing USAID is a real tragedy. Yeah, it's a real bad thing. So no, I don't think that Donald Trump's followers will care if he's on the list. They don't give a shit that Donald Trump and this regime right here cut the funding to USAID, which is literally starving children. Congratulations, Donald. They estimate 300,000 children have died because of that. Congratulations. I don't know what. But yeah, the big story today, and it's going to be a big story for a while. And the reason I'm saying it's going to be a big story is partially because I didn't know that this was right. The big story of the day is going to be that the combined footage from Jeffrey Epstein's cell has been cut by more than 3 minutes. 3:53 is what last I saw. And what's important about this is up until yesterday, I myself still had some shred of doubt as to what happened because I was aware that there was 1 minute missing. And I thought, well, in like a minute, it's probably real tough to get someone else in a cell and make all that happen. That's probably tough. Um, yeah, yeah, and I'm worried what you think. Cool story. But yeah, Jerry said he's living on an island somewhere. Yeah, it's not a rumor. Cease. The Ayatollah in Iran put a $40 million bounty on Donald Trump. A fatwa. Yeah. 1 minute. 1 minute. I have some doubts that he didn't just off himself. 3 minutes? Holy shit! You could have done anything in 3 minutes. Hmm? Yeah. Yeah, that's how my brain works. My brain, when I'm trying to think about whether something happened or not, my brain will put me in that scenario and say, could I get in that man's cell, subdue him, hang him, and leave? knowing nobody's watching inside of 1 minute. And I'm like, nah, nope, nope. Did you give me 3 minutes? Hoo hoo hoo. Yeah, buddy. I'll be a ways away too by the time that camera comes back on. Yeah, and that's how I'm trying to stay in a frame of reality, right? I wasn't dead on like he was martyred, I murdered. I wasn't 100% on that until I heard, oh, now when they're scraping together the footage, it's like, ah, they're missing about 4 minutes. What? 4 minutes? That's forever. That's coordinated. That's plenty of fucking time, is what I'm getting at. Hmm. For any number of people to have gotten in there and completed their job and gotten the fuck out. Yes. Oh, the Chauncey, the problem that I have with saying, "Oh, we'll never see that list," it was already published and scraped off the internet yesterday. So it's almost like welcome to the party. It already was on the internet yesterday. I saw several pages of that list yesterday. It got scraped off the fucking internet. Um, and so that means it exists, somebody has it, and it'll be, yeah. I have a feeling Anonymous is on that shit. I have a feeling Anonymous is getting, hey, we need to talk. We know that you have the list. Like, what are you talking about? Nope. Nope. Saxman, you're stupid. That's the problem. Is that you're stupid. Hmm. Why would I defend Donald Trump? What about me and what I've said is defending him? I think that he had his best friend unalived. I also think he had a family member unalived and buried on his golf course so he could bury evidence with her. I think he's a traitor. Like, what about me as defending him? God, people are stupid. And Chauncey, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. Congratulations, you're no longer part of the conversation. Like, I just don't understand how you could watch my show and get that I'm defending Donald Trump. I am not. Yeah, he like had a family member unalived, had his best friend unalived. These were all to keep the fact that he's straight up P3DO off the airwaves. Tell me I'm wrong. That's why I've said he already asked his aides last week if he thought he should resign. And that's why I'm saying, hey, it was 211, 210, and two Democrats didn't vote. If they vote, it's 212, 211. The list is public and the president's in office. And I'm saying they're using it as leverage against him. And they're going to the president and they're trying to get him to resign. Why? Get him the fuck out of the way. Yeah, use that 25th Amendment. Get JD Vance in here. This is what Project 2025, that's what it promises to do. Y'all got to wake the fuck up. Stop thinking about like what is and stop thinking about their intentions. They intend to use the 25th Amendment to put JD Vance in power. How? I'm literally telling you. He's going to try to step down to keep the Epstein files from getting out. Bet me money. He had his best friend unalived. Look how he talks about him. Somebody said Vance could be worse. No, Vance, from what I understand, is woefully uh, unqualified. Hmm. That's funny because that Rockland lawsuit over the election, the 2024 U.S. elections, it got moved up. Talk to me nice. You have never gotten in here and said anything that came true, and it's like, right, because we read the law. That's funny. You wonder why I'm a socialist. No, I don't support Project 2025. Are you fucking crazy? Like this, it's like y'all are stupid. Like woefully stupid. I don't understand. What do you mean? Am I supporting the president or Project 2025? How? How are you getting that off of me saying that he had his best friend unalived? He had a family member unalived and buried him on his golf course so he could get a tax write-off? He's a traitor? What about that says I support him? I don't understand. But yeah, Project 2025 says they're going to use the 25th Amendment to make Donald Trump president. Right now, I'm trying to drag him out a more. Trying to drag him out a more. Like what that I've said is remotely supportive of the president. Exactly. Well, that's crazy, Dakota, that there's even an approval rating of Democrats given that they don't have the House, the Senate, the presidency, or the Supreme Court. So, like, they're not the party in power. What does their approval rating matter right now? They're the opposition party because he doesn't, and because you're giving too much credit to Stephen Miller. It's Vladimir Putin is the one handing down the orders. Stephen Miller is an also ran. What is the point of this? They're the opposition party. It's important to not have central leadership when you're trying to defeat a fascist regime. It's important to have a bevy and for your leaders to continue to show leadership without declaring like like a leader, and they're also not in power. So again, that's not even relevant. Goodbye. What's gonna happen with Ghislaine? You think you gonna pardon her or what? So I think she is in a powerful position to negotiate. I would rather see her negotiate with the state than with Donald Trump. But I heard she wants to tell her story. And again, well, Jazzy, we're not saying it like I'm in charge. You get what I'm saying? I'm not saying this like this is what I would do if I was in charge. Hmm. Yeah. I think that she's the safest where she is. Hey, there's like 100 plus people watching us right now. So anytime I have any amount of people watching me, I always want to make sure we say, hey, I know that things are crazy right now, but you got to make sure that you get 8 hours of sleep a night and that you take a nap if you need one. You should drink water and eat right and exercise. And a lot of people are like, why? Like, why is that shit important right now? Well, first of all, the economy is trash, and most of those things are free and or the cheaper way to live. All I know is a month of protein powder is about $60. Each shake is a meal replacement. So if you want to be technical, eating right and exercising and sleeping and drinking water, these are generally like the more affordable ways to go about it as well. Right. But the primary reason to coach my audience on that is one, to keep the fuzz off me, right? Telling people to drink water and shit. But two, what it does is it lets you know what the bad guys don't do. Your oppressors, the people that finance this, wrote this, allow this, uh, they don't sleep 8 hours a night. Look at, they are reflective of their leadership. Look at DJT himself, right? That man stays up all night and rage tweets into the void. What are you talking about? He tries to rule by social media post and by fiat. Do you think he's doing that because that's what the elected Republicans under him think is the right thing to be doing? No. Nope. That's not why. So I think it's going to come out one way or the other, and I think it's unavoidable. And I think Donald Trump is going to come to terms with that before it comes out, and he's going to try to resign, and that's because he's an idiot. And he falls right into the Project 2025. He falls into their lap and just hands the presidency to JD Vance, which again, Project 2025 views as a win. But I think JD Vance is not MAGA. He became MAGA um, only to get this role. And I think that Kamala Harris caught wind of Project 2025 and she decided that's what I'm going to focus on. And Mark Elias, for the record, who was her lead attorney while she was in office, that's what they're focused on. So I recommend you check out Democracy Docket from Mark Elias if you're not already. That'll keep you abreast on things that are actually happening, all the lawsuits he's got. And remember, everything Donald Trump does is as a result of something that Putin told him to do. A lot of people have come around and they've said, all right, this is bullshit. I'm willing to protest. The only problem I have is that protest movements don't succeed unless they're sustained movements. I gotta see people protesting every day. And to that, I've said, if you can get to Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, do I think Vance is where? I don't think that is even remotely relevant. I think what is relevant is Donald Trump not being president and him being held accountable. That alone will do so much. And then all the other shit we know about, like the Project 2025. Yeah, he's like pretend fighting with Putin and shit. Like, it's all by design. Chaos is the order of the day. Donald Trump's a fucking puppet. I don't think they will either. And that's why I think he'll be ineffective. I think the cult doesn't believe in JD Vance. They don't think he's true. He's not truly a MAGA because he's not. Yep. Well, it used to be Elon. They're fighting now, Nino. And again, I think that's by design. I think that Elon Musk needed to get out of government and get back to his companies because they're fucking failing, and they're still failing. Um, Tesla and SpaceX. Um, these things aren't gonna make it. Like literally, they've already said like the Tesla stock is unrecoverable. Shit is trash, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, let's say you don't live in Washington D.C. There are a couple orgs that organize these protests. Okay, 5050.1, indivisible.org. Want a Bob? Okay. The next big protest is tomorrow. Good Trouble Lives On in remembrance of John Lewis, the former congressman that said get in good trouble. Yes, Nino. hmm Peter Thiel funded the Heritage Foundation's production of Project 2025, which was written by J.D. Vance for Donald Trump with the help of Russ Vought. hmm All of those things are facts. hmm Peter Thiel funded it. That's like the majority shareholder of Palantir. Uh, Russ Vought, J.D. Vance wrote it for the Heritage Foundation for Donald Trump. It has Donald Trump's fucking name in it 200 plus times. Hmm? It was written for him, but it's also meant to replace him. hmm No, 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 no. If we don't know each other and we've never spoken, don't try to join. Nope. Nope. I gotta know your politics. I gotta know you know what the fuck you're talking about. And if I stop talking and let you talk, that you're not gonna stick your, you know what I'm saying? We gotta know each other before you do that. Yeah, I think something's wrong with the president. We were gonna get to it, uh, but he had makeup on his fucking hand. I don't know that that's like the most relevant thing that I want to be spending time talking about today. I'd rather talk about the speech he gave. That was absolutely horrendous. Any other fucking president would have been. I don't know about impeached. I don't know about impeached. I'll go that far. I think it's a little far to say like any other president would have been any other. No, no other person elected ever has delivered that much of a fucking word salad. That shit was garbage. I watched it on double speed and I was just like, hold on, back up. What did he say? He's dumb. Lots of people are gonna die. This sucks. Hey, you should check out Y'allbot and not no one else. No other Americans should die from weather emergencies. Oh, I posted a link. If you want, a lot of people have said it's better to watch the podcast on YouTube because I'm constantly posting links in the chat that takes you to the news story that I'm talking about so that you don't have to be like, where do I watch that shit? Here's the fucking link. But for some reason on TikTok, It don't post links like that. So what I would recommend you do is either go to Reddit or go to YouTube. You can go up there in my profile and click and go to YouTube, and you can sit in the chat with everybody else that's been here for the last 8+ months. Every single day, by the way. 8 a.m. to 9:30. You better fucking believe it. Haven't missed a day. Been late once or twice. I blame my wife. And I have animals, and they're more important sometimes. Okay, so what I try to do with our time together now, that there are still over 100 kids missing in Texas. Or people. We could just call them people. Maybe if we just called everyone people, then all the people would do their fucking jobs. Yeah? Yeah, I talked to someone that works in hospital administration who's about the show, and she told me that any hospital that doesn't have 300 beds in it is going to close because you're not going to be able to make enough money with the lack of funding. And she said there are some medium-sized hospitals that have 260, 230 beds. They ain't making it. They're not making it. You don't have enough room. You can't put enough bodies. So small and medium hospitals and clinics are gonna close, and a whole bunch of people that voted for this shit are like, "Nuh-uh." I'm telling you, I worked with someone in a hospital administration. Her job is to direct the funding to hospitals, and she told me, yeah, you got to look at how many beds a unit's got in it for it to be sustainable. It's got to have like 300 beds. That's not even that big of a hospital, really. But yeah, she said, yeah, anything shy of that's probably gonna close. Mhm. Oh, they also said, oh, here's my favorite part. The big beautiful bill is gonna kick like 14 million people off of Medicaid and Social Security and SNAP, and the this regime says they can just pick fruit. So the jobs that able-bodied Americans don't want to do, this regime says when you lose your Medicaid, you can just go back out to the field. And they're assuming that you'll work slower, so you'll get paid less. Yep. And remember, most of this shit doesn't actually start until 2026. So every month that passes, Republicans, or well, people that voted for this are going to be like, see, it's not that bad, right? Oh, it's worse. The right is really heavily invested in the prison system in the United States. And, they built Alligator Alcatraz in 8 days, and it flooded before they could even put a body in it. And they built this facility in a swamp, and that's really stupid. But then again, Ron DeSantis and Kristi Noem were awful proud of it. Hmm. They're going to put a bunch of people in there, and they're all going to unalive when a hurricane hits. Congratulations. You premeditated the unaliving of thousands of immigrants. You're a horrible person. Remember that you won't be in power forever. Remember when I told you the President of the United States cannot delay or cancel an election? But yeah, the whole goal here is to imprison political opponents and force them into slave labor. Yep, that's technocracy. DeSantis is building another one 3 miles from my home at Camp Blanding Training Camp. That's crazy and dangerous. That is the right's plan. That's like the rich people's plan. They want to jail their opposition. That's why I've moved really slow. I don't want them to. I'm trying to lull them to sleep. Oh, he ain't gonna do it. He ain't gonna do it. Okay, okay. Keep in mind, I don't have to leave my house to fulfill my obligation. So keep that in mind. 5 states are building concentration camps. Yep. Anything to stay rich, right? They said when you start to get to a certain level of money, you stop seeing people as people and you see them as obstacles, objects. You're either helping or you're in the way. No family doesn't matter, friends don't matter. You're either enabling me or you're in my way. That's how rich people feel like. Yeah, of course, all red states, yeah. Yeah, we don't have the money to fix the homeless problem, but we could build concentration camps. Exactly. Exactly. Hi, my name is Jared. I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party. I am pro equality. That means if you are a woman, a person of color, a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, I welcome you and accept you. You are welcome here, right? I'm also pro union. One of the things I've noticed over my life is that Citizens United ruined fucking everything. Companies and corporations ruin fucking everything. Capitalism destroys everything it touches. Hey, union membership is on a decline going on 7 decades. We should fix that. Unions are cool, K. I'm a syndicalist socialist, which means I think that I was in the Marine Corps infantry during a time of war, and so I came to understand that you don't rise to the occasion, right? There's no such thing as somebody that's a gamer, right? What happens when stress and anxiety happen? You fall to your level of competency. So, for those of you that think when you're in stressful situations you just perform better, that's not true. You're just competent. And when you're stressed, you're just competent, right? So if somebody is a socialist like me and they want everyone to have universal health care, education, income, and housing, and they're pro equality, so that means they're not racist or sexist, right? Yeah, that's fucking crazy, right? That's what socialist means. If you look up the Merriam-Webster dictionary definition of socialism, it's any egalitarian movement, any pro-equality movement. So Pride, I'm all about it. I worked security at Pride for years. Okay, and I think we can cash 44. What? I don't even know. I don't even know what you're talking about. Cash 44 tons of rent in Cola with angles. Armando, I love you, buddy. Listen, do us both a favor. Type it out in Spanish, put it in Google Translate. Because that shit in English, those are just words. I love you, fam. You should have just wrote it out in Spanish, hit Google Translate to English. Because this, mm-mm, mm-mm, nope. You're good. You'll be back. You'll figure it out. I need all the articles and shit. Otherwise, it's just words. The stress of trying to remember the lies, right? But yeah, what we need to do is we need people to join unions. So hey, if you haven't joined a union, join a fucking union. It's free. Here, I joined Work in America. And keep in mind we live in like a technical in a digital age. So joining hey, by the way, the weather map popped up. Here we go, kids. You want to know the weather? Oh, all right. So if you live Idaho, Utah, oh shit. Basically, the west of part of the United States has some kind of fire risk right now. So just so everybody knows, here's what I'm doing. I'm looking at this weather map and we're talking about it. Okay, go watch Y'allbot. Here, you can see it too. See what we're talking about? That's what we're talking about. The weather map. Okay. So the western part of the country is like in a drought. Although it looks like there's some storms, some rain happening in southern Nevada and New Mexico for some reason. Minnesota and Wisconsin are going to share a storm today. It looks like Iowa is going to catch some of that too. Northwest, north, and northeast Missouri looks like you're going to get rain today. Carolinas. It does look like there's a little rain central North Carolina. There's rain off the east coast of the United States. I'm thinking that there might be some weather in the Gulf. Um, so if you are in New Orleans, Mississippi, so like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, the Florida Panhandle slash Florida. Florida is going to see some weathers today. John Lewis said hail storms today in Denver. Yeah, it does look like. Well, I can't see that. I can't say that. There it looks like there's some rain in Ohio. Northeast Kentucky. Indiana's gonna get some rain. Ohio. So yeah, the West is on fire. Rain in southern Nevada and New Mexico. Rain on the Gulf Coast. Rain in Ohio. Okay. The Dakotas got fire and rain. Y'all are fucked. Okay. Helena, or not Helena, Montana. What's the square state? Is that Wyoming? Is that square state out there? Wyoming's got fire and rain. So that's awkward. Kind of, it's like stay inside slash run for your life. Al B said, here in Oregon, we have fires. Exciting. Yeah, the Midwest is, it's strange. In the middle of summer. I mean, hey, you know what? It's better than drought. I'll take it. The problem has been since Donald Trump's been in power with the suspension of the NOAA, National Weather Service. Um, There was a haboob in Arizona yesterday. In Portland, Oregon. Hmm. Oh, your uncle lives there. It's the punk rock city capital of the world, right there, Portland, Oregon. Yeah, all states are big national parks. Yeah. No, again, if we don't know each other, we don't try to hop on. It's not how it works. Eventually, somebody will come on here. Yeah. Think about how much power Jeffrey Epstein has over Donald Trump, even in his death. Oh, hey, remember we talked a lot about the 2024 US election and Executive Order 13848 and all that stuff? Well, the lawsuit in Rockland that was initially scheduled for September, it's been moved to August. So for all my haters out there that said nothing that I've ever said has come true, not only is it true, they moved the court date closer to us. So it's just they had to change the rules of elections because of 2020, right? They made it all immaterial, right? All the um like the stuff that happens on January 6th, the inauguration, all that stuff by the book. It's just a dog and pony show. Behind the scenes though, lawsuits, straight up fucking lawsuits since this shindig kicked off. Hmm. Hmm. And I want to point out that the Republicans have done nothing but fucking lose since election day, and it looked real bad on election day. Hmm. Hmm. But I also got to say this: if you're making content right now talking about what's going on, and you say shit like, well, when you look at the data, the whole country shifted, right? So wait a minute. You agree Donald Trump like cheated on his wife when she was pregnant with a porn star, like did all this horrible shit, but you don't think he cheated in the election, so you're just saying with your full chest that the results of the 2024 US election sit? Oh, I don't fuck with that at all. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. The Rockland lawsuit, which again I think is a pretty sticks out like a sore thumb example of election interference and fraud. Hmm. That's still upcoming, and in fact, they moved the court case a month closer to us, which that's great. That's democracy and work. I mean, it depends where you live. So one of my um, viewers on TikTok just asked me, um, "What do I stay here or do I leave?" And I think it depends on where you live. If you have money, I would get the fuck out of here. I would go where somewhere you're safe. If you're poor, you can't go. What the fuck are you talking about? That's a difference in my eyes. If you have the ability to pack up all your shit and move, you're rich. What are you talking about? If you're broke, stay where you are. Stay home. Stay home. When COVID hit, I went and talked to my insurance guy. And we talked about whether, we talked about risk. Now, my boss was a hardcore Republican, but he was pretty smart when it came to insurance. And he explained, for example, personally, there's not enough money you could pay me to work outside of the house. Sorry, that's too risky, right? Yeah, well, Angie, they don't want to meet because they don't want to. They're cowards. Hmm. Yeah, they're trying to keep the target off their back. Agree. Yeah, they're obsessed with this formality and decorum and shit. Um, but it screams complicit instead of opposition party. Again, I think the 211 to 210 vote was a warning shot to Donald Trump because two Democrats didn't even vote in that. Exactly. No, they want the truth out, but they are obsessed with. There's somebody in the Democratic Party that has gotten their little ear. They've gotten someone's ear, and they've said, "You don't want to look like the Republicans did in 2020." Um, and you certainly can't do it when you're not in power, because if you try to do shit and you're not in power, the Republicans will just have the Department of Justice shut it down. So everybody's like, "Oh my God, they're complicit." No, no, it's a Republican House and Senate, and you get what I'm saying. You're giving the Democrats too much power. They're powerless. All they can do is show up and vote together, take some stances, try to keep the spin in the positive direction for you, but know that if this Republican Party had any fucking brains at all, we'd be fucking hosed even worse. If they actually knew what the fuck they were doing. But yeah, a lot of Democrats take money from AIPAC. There are 54 elected Democrats that are part of a Blue Dog Caucus, which are 50, is it 56 or 54 elected Democrats that vote conservatively, right? So in my eyes, in the Democratic Party, you have factions within the Democratic Party. So what they're relying on doing is winning the midterms. That they're going to focus on winning the midterms. I don't know who their candidates are, and I would have started already trying to get my candidates for the midterms in the limelight and wear their fucking name out, right? Yep, they've got a bunch of lawsuits going. Adelita Grayalva won her seat here in Arizona. Raul Grijalvas. Oh, it was his daughter. Well, the problem that I have with that line of thought is that we've had many elections since election night, and the Democrats have steamrolled. So I just am wondering, like, when does that start and stop? When does the line of thought, will we ever have fair elections again? What about all the fair elections we've had since election day? I'm just asking. What about all those elections that Democrats won in a landslide? Were those not valid elections? It seems like that whole line of thought doesn't have a lot of attraction, does it? And I know you're talking about the midterms, but I'm asking, when does it start and stop? Because all they've done since election day is lose, and I'm counting those among my wins. What are we talking about? Yes, because all those companies got sued into the ground. Dominion, what's the other one? He could be rigging shit right now. That's a little bit of fear mongering. Donald Trump has the fucking foresight to be planning to rig the midterms. He has fucking dementia. We're giving him way too much power and credit. What's his big secret with Mike Johnson? France is investigating Musk for interference. But clearly, Mike Johnson is for transparency and he wants the Epstein list released. And I think that's happening because he knows it's going to happen anyway. And that if his whole party has any chance, it starts with like Mike Johnson, somebody high up, saying like, well, Haya, given that that fantasy that you're living in requires um, people to execute based on an executive order, which hasn't happened with all the other shit that he said. Again, I think it was a one time thing. I think it was the bomb threats, the over 200 bomb threats on election day that shut down polling places in largely black communities that had wealthy white populations that vote super progressive. Over 200 of those nationwide. And it caused the evacuation of those places. And then they just slid a tech in to all those places and uploaded some stuff. And it changed the outcome of the elections. Um, that's kind of a one time thing because all those people are going to get caught and arrested and go to jail. So I know it's easy to fall into the trap, but it's like no, no, no. It was a one time deal. Now try to run for a third term, rig that election. I can entertain that. I can entertain that. If you think he's gonna try to run for a third term, yeah, I could see him trying to. Uh, but they're gonna give up so much ground between now and then that he would be a lame duck president anyway. He'd get into office, sure, Don. But yeah, I I I think it was a one-time shot, and I think now Donald Trump and Elon Musk are no longer friends, and now he doesn't have the technological power that he had, and like I said, accountability's coming. There's a reason we call it Justice's waiting room. I've said it before. The MAGA is going to take their ball and go home. They changed equipment before the election and made them remote operating. Completely plausible. One of the things that I had arguments with people in my chat for a long time is I said, you do realize it takes no work at all to give a computer wireless capability, right? It's plug and play. You can literally just walk up to a computer, plug a wireless adapter in, and that bitch is connected to the internet. Congratulations. I believe he's going to be held responsible when he's no longer president if he lives. His best case scenario is passing naturally in office. 13848. Well, again, it would be fruitless for the Democrats to raise this issue while they're the minority party in both the House and Senate and the Supreme Court and the president, right? What would be the point? It would be another failed vote. I understand why they haven't said anything and why they haven't even brought it up. They're going to wait until they win the fucking midterms and then they're back in power and now they can do stuff. They couldn't get any of this shit passed. Carol Sue said he's extremely unhealthy. I give him 9 months. Hey, listen, every day that I wake up and that man's not on a blotter somewhere, I'm like, how? How? Yeah, but the thing about it is, I never before thought that though, Atlas. I didn't think he was gonna die until I started seeing, his hands all purple and he's having to put fucking. He's wearing a catheter and a diaper. You get what I'm saying? I get what you're saying. Like people have been wishing that motherfucker just die forever, but I never said that. I never said that. I seen him start to wear a fucking diaper and a catheter, and I'm like, hey, I had to put my dog down last year because in real quick, she went from the sweetest girl that could damn near let herself outside to being unable to hold her in her piss and shit in my house. Real quick. She got real sick real quick. I think Donald Trump's on his fucking way. Carol Sue said she's watched several male family members die of natural causes. He's following the body failure. Yeah. He's clearly getting an IV. That's what this is, right? The discoloration on his hand, it tells me that he's getting uh, IVs. Yeah, all the individuals responsible as it refers to the Heritage Foundation. Yeah. Yep. Remember, when it comes to violent crime, so if somebody dies, there's no statute of limitations on violent crime. Remember that I told you that. Document everything. Riarco, we already talked about how that's an ignorant thought process, given that there have been a bunch of elections since election day, and the Democrats have cleaned fucking house. Like 75-25, 70-30, 85-15. So we're asking, we're pontificating, Will we ever have legitimate elections again? But the Democrats have been busting the Republicans' ass since election day. Pretty much across the board. They lost a couple seats in Florida that were already Republican seats. Kidneys are king once they're done. Hmm. Yeah, anytime Donald Trump says low IQ, woman, person of color. Almost entirely. Yeah. And remember this above all things, people that have wondered, like, will we ever make it? Two-thirds of the attorneys at the Department of Justice meant to defend Donald Trump resigned. Two-thirds. Probably propofol. Jesus Christ. Yeah. I've often said I don't have money, but I got karma like a motherfucker. That motherfucker does not have good karma. And that shit, it typically means you're gonna die. Because the midterms and presidential elections weren't worried about interference. Yeah. I'm not. I'm not. I think that we're gonna have a big impact on elections. I, One of the things that, again, I don't want to run for public office, but I want to point out, like, we're sponsoring this candidate for office because that candidate takes money from AI PAC, right? My rest of the time spent on Earth will be finding a person better for the job than whoever the Democrats are running, knowing that they're gonna beat the Republican candidate. Look at these idiots, right? So you gotta focus on finding better overall quality candidates. I don't believe in, like, you gotta do your time type shit. Baby, if you're a rock star, you're a rock star, right? And some people will just pick up what I'm saying and they're like, I get what he's saying. Hey, the party in power are fascists. You see how they're trying to, like, unalive all the brown people? Stephen Miller, who, like, pretty much speaks for the Republican Party, has said he wants to eliminate 200 plus million Americans. He only thinks there needs to be like 150 million people here. We call it Justice's waiting room for a reason. We gonna be waiting. But yeah, if you really want to be real about it, since election night, all the Republican Party's done is fucking lose. Losers. They have everything. Losers. They ain't winning shit. They ain't winning shit. The shit doesn't resonate. I mean, there are a lot of people that are like, were hardcore MAGA that are like, hey, this isn't what I voted for. You said you were going to bring the cost of groceries down and that you were going to deport criminals. You're deporting grocery baggers. Like, ICE is resigning en masse because their job is purposeless. So yeah, I just want to make sure that I say, hey, I understand being like, man, they're gonna cheat, and it's like, cheat in what election? Do you, Let me ask you this with a straight motherfucking face. Do you believe Donald Trump is gonna help another person win an election? That he isn't already. You know, the five or six. Yeah. My favorite thing that's happening on TikTok right now is somebody shit talking Republicans in Spanish in the comments, and the filter doesn't catch it. It's great. It's almost like you can't take accountability for what your party does, so you gotta paint Democrats in the same light so that you can maintain some semblance of like I'm not responsible for this. But just know that there's no Democratic cult. Just know that you're an idiot. I'm sorry to be the person to tell you this. But if the Democratic Party is a cult, who's the cult leader? Exactly. Who's in charge? Dead ass. Like Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. 40 followers. He said George Soros. Oh. What about Peter Thiel, who funded the Heritage Foundation's production of Project 2025, which was written by J.D. Vance for Donald Trump, the head of the Republican cult. So, I mean, you're gone now, and I don't really care what you have to say, but Angie, 12 ICE agents at a car wash to take a single 71-year-old man. Nah, yeah, exactly. So if I ask you, do you honestly think he's going to help someone else win an election that's not already part of the MAGA crew? No. There's too many people to support. And like I've said, there's too many Republicans that are like, I'm over this. I'm over him. Yeah, and he uses makeup to hide the fact that he's taken a yeah, yeah. So I don't. Somebody said he's getting an IV for propofol so he could sleep. And that's why he's using makeup to cover his hand. Um, Jesus, how is he alive? Like ketamine and cocaine, and he's clearly taking an IV. Like, which apparently people are like, that's propofol, so like he could go to sleep at night. And you're like, how is he alive? I don't understand. Ugh. I just don't get it. They finally released the older gentleman, three sons who were Marines. Happy for them. Yeah, yeah, me too. You see, ICE took in a disabled Marine that's an American citizen the other day. Yeah. Why do you think I'm moving so slow? So they don't see me as a target. And like when we get banned on TikTok, I know it's because some MAGA is in the comments waiting for what they think is a violation, and then they're like, "Whoop." The problem is, this is how I know y'all are the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. I've never lost an appeal when it comes to that shit. Just so you know. So like show goes down for a couple minutes. The show's not here to make money. So when you do whatever you can do to get our channel taken down, just know you're keeping me from telling people to protest, boycott, and strike. That's what you're doing. That seems crazy, right? Hmm. Hmm. You know what's pretty important? Does anybody remember Polymarket? Remember Polymarket? Where we were pretty convinced Elon Musk was moving money during the election and gambling on the election? Do y'all remember Polymarket? Allison asked, why does he need meds for sleep when he falls asleep everywhere? Yeah, right. But yeah, uh, Donald Trump let Polymarket off the hook. So, like I said, as I've said before, uh, you all need to think about the statute of limitations and understand that justice delayed is not justice denied, in my eyes, and that we are enduring this regime, and that I think it can come apart a lot faster than 4 years. I can come apart a lot faster than the midterms. Okay? But I need you to stay clock the fuck in, lock the fuck in, stay connected. Not for me, not so I can run ads, not so I can sell you shit. No, I don't want you to go. I don't want you to unalive yourself. I don't want you to disconnect. I don't want you to become a shell of your former self. I want you to understand um, there's no statute of limitations on violent crime. And when people unalive, hey, it's forever. And I believe it. Hmm. One day, very soon, that man will not be president and he will be held accountable. Hmm. Hmm. And I know you're like, nah, there's no way. Okay. All of that will be done probably post mortem. All that stuff that you want to happen. So let's listen to some Eat the Rich and get out of here, okay? Nah, I mean, Haya said, I'm gonna lose my mind before it happens. Well, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I think he could resign over this Epstein shit. I think it all unravels from there. Um, but yeah, there's some people that I'm like, you got to put them in prison. Homan, Vought, Trump, Miller, like you want to talk about people that belong in like a camp somewhere. Those people, right? Not all of us. Not all of the people that are like against all of that. Try to have a good day. Don't let them. Don't let them get to you. And by the way, they're absolutely treating Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever guard, just like they treated Michael Jordan back in the day, where they can't guard her, so the only thing they can do is be super physical with her. I am already blaming the WNBA for turning Caitlin Clark into the monster she's going to become. Because what Michael Jordan did after his first few years in the league, even though he was the fucking MVP, he was getting beat the piss out of by the Pistons in the playoffs. So what did he do? Got stronger, faster, could jump higher. What do you think Caitlin Clark's gonna do? Idiots. Idiots.